Hi, and welcome to News, Views and Ideas. This week, I'll be commenting on border protection, and in your say, we'll be discussing the Bill of Rights, gay marriage, and that perennial favourite, the emissions trading scheme. But before I do, I'd like to say a big thanks to the 4,818 people that signed my petition against the Copenhagen Climate Treaty. Thanks to pressure in Australia and all around the world, this treaty has now been abandoned for the December Copenhagen conference. Thanks very much for your support. The Rudd government has softened the Australian border protection laws, and the result has been 52 boats have sought to enter our territorial waters illegally over the last 2 years. And there are thousands of people on these boats who have paid tens of thousands of dollars to be brought to Australia where they can claim asylum. Now, Australia has a humanitarian refugee program which is administered by the United Nations. And every time we grant asylum to someone who has entered our country illegally, we take a place from those who are seeking to do the right thing. Most recently, an Australian vessel, the Oceanic Viking, went to the aid of one of these boats which was stricken in Indonesian waters. The people on board were taken to an Indonesian port where they refused to disembark until they were given a special deal by the Australian government. Now, the fact that they got a special deal is denied by the Rudd government, but they did, and it sends the wrong message to all those who are seeking to come to this country in a legal and lawful manner. It says, don't bother going through the official channels, just come on one of these leaky boats, put your life in danger, and the Australian government will cut a deal. It's the wrong policy response from a very flawed government. This government has lost control of Australia's borders. And remember, a country that loses control of its borders loses control of its destiny. I've received a host of emails this week about the Bill of Rights. Tim, Sandra, Peter, George and others have all said they're opposed to it. I'm opposed to it too, because at its simplest level, a Bill of Rights will transfer power from an accountable and elected Parliament to an unaccountable and unelected judiciary. This is not in Australia's interest, and I'll be voting against it. I've also received an email from James, who's concerned about gay marriage. He thinks marriage should be available to homosexual couples. Well, James, I don't agree with you. Marriage is between a man and a woman. This is enshrined in the Parliament. It's enshrined in legislation. I will be always voting to support marriage as staying between a man and a woman. I've also received an email from Dennis in Albury, who wants to know what could be done about reversing the implementation of an emissions trading scheme should it come to pass in the Parliament. Well, Dennis, I've got to tell you, it would be very hard. An emissions trading scheme would give rise to property rights, which then we'd have to buy to take away. This would cost billions and billions of dollars, and it's money the Australian taxpayer simply won't be able to afford. That's why we can't allow an emissions trading scheme to be introduced in Australia. The last word this week goes to a man I met at the Make-A-Wish Foundation charity fundraiser held in Parliament House. Professional wrestling legend Hulk Hogan said, do your training, believe in yourself, say your prayers and take your vitamins. Sounds like pretty good advice to me. See you next week.